Hi all. Right now we're going to gold leaf. This is Italian 23 karat gold patent leaf. And so what we're going to do, in an acrylic icon, we can adhere the gold with an adhesive that we paint on. So everywhere you paint the adhesive, and I use this Mona Lisa adhesive size for metal leaf, and you can see I'm tilting the board ever so slightly because of the glare of the light. I have to make sure that everywhere that gold will go, I have adhesive. I don't want to get it in places where I don't want gold because I don't want gold to stick in those places. Now, I always ochre my panels. So tinting the size isn't necessarily all that helpful. But if you use a white panel, or you don't ochre the panels before you paint, then the glue will show up even better if you have it a little tinted. I'm going right up to the hair, and like I said in a previous video, everywhere that borders gold gets a little raggedy. So at the end here, after we wait 24 hours and protect the gold with some varnish, we can paint on top of it, and we can put a pinstripe. So we can outline the hair and make it nice and crisp and get rid of the raggedy edge that the gold brings on. Okay, now we have to go from wet to tacky. You don't want the glue wet. The gold is so thin, it will go right through the little square you have here. But it does have to go from wet to tacky. I'm going to go back and pull some of the brush strokes out so it looks more like rays. They don't usually show up, the brush strokes don't usually show up on the outside, but just in case. I always do this if I do a second tier of gold or a second coat of gold on top. It's more likely to show the brush strokes. Okay, and we want to go from wet to tacky, and it's already starting to turn a little bit down here. So we're going to just wait a moment, and then we will put our gold on. Okay, so we waited about 5 minutes, and the glue went from wet to tacky. So now I'm going to take the ball of my finger, and I am just going to lightly rub, nothing too strenuous. I'm going to overlap. I try not to get too far on the image because if there's any little tackiness in the paint at all, the gold will stick to it. You know, if there's not glue underneath, it should come off with a damp brush. I don't like to fool with a damp brush until the gold is sealed. See, I'm overlapping on the halo itself. We want to clean off one entire sheet before we go get another sheet. Gold is pretty expensive, so you don't want to waste any part of it. Now, I didn't get out scraps of gold, but I could probably finish that up with scraps of gold. But just for virtue of this video, I don't want to stop. But you do keep, if you have little pieces like this or chunks of gold on sheets from previous icons, you'll keep them, and then you don't have to get out an entirely new sheet. Sometimes I like to go around, if I have a big chunk on a leftover sheet, to go the whole way around again with it, in case there's a little spot that might have gotten missed. I usually tilt the panel, and I could see it very clearly here with my light, so I didn't have to lift it and turn it all around to see if there was a gap in the adhesive. When it goes from wet to tacky on your panel, there's a sheen to it. And if there's not a sheen, if it's flat, it means that there could be a hole in the gold. The true test is when we brush this excess off into the can. Look at all my previous gold. Now, folks always ask me what I use this for. Well, sometimes I'll use a textured paste to make a design in a halo. And then if there's a raised surface and I glue on that raised surface, I can sprinkle this gold. Now, gold does come in various carats, which gives us various colors. And different countries have different, not really methods of making the gold, but you always want to use gold from the same packet that you get. You don't want to mix it up because you will have two different colors on your halo then. Okay, so that is our gold leaf process. We will wait 24 hours and then we will protect the gold with a sealer. And I will add that to this video before I conclude the video in its entirety. To conclude our gold leafing video, I'm just going to seal the gold. We waited 24 hours. We don't always do that in a classroom setting because we don't have time. And it's always worked out. But there are caveats. And that's the reason why we do wait 24 hours if we can, because you will have less or no issues, hopefully. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is get our sealer, and that is satin varnish, polyurethane, water-based. I'm just going to put a little bit on the end of a dirty plate. Now, the mantra after gold leafing is we burnish once and we varnish twice. So what I mean by burnishing, we're going to take a piece of the tissue paper that we had left over and we're going to just very lightly put it between you, which is the cotton ball, and the gold leaf. We used to do it right on the gold, and sometimes we would get big black streaks. Do not like that. Don't like things that might make me have to gold leaf a second time or second layer on top. Okay, that was burnishing. We are done burnishing this icon. Okay, now I just have a very little bit of clear sealer, satin, varnish, polyurethane, and I am just going to paint it on as thinly as I put on the gold size. Okay. So we're going to do this once, and then I usually wait 2 hours and put on a second coat before I do anything else. Because once we do this, we can do our pinstripe halo line around the gold, and then we can outline the hair. You can see how it's a little raggedy here and there, and a nice outline will rectify that. And this is it. Sealing is done. Nice thin coat. Shouldn't even take you 5 minutes. All right, that's it for today.